At about 6:07 now, we want to turn to our running dry coverage because a new grim report about water levels at Lake Mead has been revealed.
The Bureau of Reclamation releasing these numbers, saying water levels are dropping to the lowest levels ever recorded.
What if the survival of an entire city depended on a single tunnel buried beneath one of America's fastest disappearing lakes? For decades, Las Vegas has dazzled the world with bright lights, towering casinos, and endless entertainment. But beneath the famous strip lies a story few people ever see, a story of engineering, desperation, and a race against a shrinking water supply. Lake Mead, the largest reservoir in the United States, has fallen more than 130 feet since the late 1990s. Its shoreline has retreated for miles. Abandoned marinas sit on dry ground, and the massive white bathtub ring carved into the canyon walls has become a symbol of the Southwest's water crisis. Yet, despite all of this, millions of people in Las Vegas still turn on their taps every morning without interruption. Why? Because deep beneath Lake Mead, hidden under volcanic rock and billions of tons of water, lies one of the most extraordinary engineering projects ever built: the third straw. But as the Colorado River continues to shrink, one question grows more urgent than ever. Did this tunnel save Las Vegas or simply delay the inevitable? For much of the 20th century, the Colorado River appeared limitless. Water from the river fueled explosive growth across 7 western states, supporting booming cities, sprawling suburbs, massive farms, and some of the biggest hydroelectric dams. Few places benefited more than Las Vegas. A city built in the middle of one of North America's driest deserts somehow grew into a metropolitan area of more than 2 million residents. That growth depended almost entirely on Lake Mead, the enormous reservoir created after Hoover Dam was completed in the 1930s. For decades, few imagined the lake could ever become critically low. Then, reality arrived. A prolonged megadrought, rising temperatures, and decades of overuse caused water levels to plunge. By 2022, Lake Mead reached its lowest elevation since it first filled nearly 90 years earlier. The consequences became impossible to ignore. Boat launches no longer reached the water. Entire marinas had to be relocated. The ghost town of St. Thomas, submerged when Hoover Dam was built, emerged once again from the lakebed after spending decades underwater. Even more disturbing were the human remains discovered along the receding shoreline. Several decades-old cases resurfaced as barrels, bones, and long-forgotten evidence emerged from beneath the water, reminding everyone just how dramatically the lake had retreated. But while these discoveries captured headlines, an even greater story was unfolding beneath the lake itself. Years before the worst of the drought, engineers recognized a frightening possibility. If Lake Mead continued falling, Las Vegas could lose access to its drinking water. The city's existing intake pipes were never designed for extremely low lake levels. Should the water drop below them, millions of residents would face an unprecedented crisis. The solution sounded almost impossible. Build a brand new intake tunnel underneath the lake, not near the lakebed, beneath it. Construction began in 2008 on what became known as the third straw. The project would require workers to drill nearly 3 miles through solid volcanic basalt while operating directly below one of the largest reservoirs in America. Everything about the mission pushed engineering to its limits. The tunnel boring machine, nicknamed Sandy, measured 23 feet across and had to be assembled underground because transporting it in one piece was impossible. Progress was painfully slow. The rock proved harder than expected. Temperatures deep underground climbed above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Equipment constantly broke down. Water seeped through hidden fractures in the volcanic rock, creating dangerous working conditions every day. Then, disaster nearly struck. In 2012, crews encountered a major fracture that flooded nearly 200 feet of active tunnel almost overnight. If the leak continued expanding, years of construction and billions of dollars could be lost. Workers spent 72 exhausting hours pumping industrial grout into the cracks while water continued forcing its way inside. There was little room for error. failure could have ended the entire project. Against the odds, the tunnel held. After 7 years of construction, the third straw finally entered service in 2015. It became the lowest municipal water intake ever built in the United States, capable of drawing water from an elevation of approximately 860 feet above sea level. That number wasn't chosen by accident. Engineers had one terrifying figure constantly in mind: 895 feet. Known as dead pool, this is the level at which water can no longer flow through Hoover Dam by gravity. If Lake Mead were ever to fall below that point, hydroelectric generation would stop. Downstream water deliveries would become severely restricted, and one of the most important water systems in North America would face an unprecedented crisis. The third straw allows Las Vegas to keep accessing water below previous intake levels, but even it has limits. No engineering project can solve a river that simply doesn't have enough water. And that's where the story becomes much bigger than Las Vegas. The roots of today's crisis stretch back more than 100 years. In 1922, the Colorado Compact divided the river's water among 7 western states. The problem, those allocations were based on unusually wet decades that dramatically overestimated how much water the river could reliably produce. For generations, cities expanded, agriculture flourished, and millions of people relied on water that, in hindsight, was never consistently available. The imbalance remained hidden as reservoirs compensated for dry years. Eventually, the math caught up. Scientists studying ancient tree rings now believe the Southwest has experienced megadroughts lasting decades, even centuries in the distant past. If those natural patterns return, today's conditions may not be an anomaly at all. They may represent the region's historical norm. To its credit, Las Vegas has responded more aggressively than almost any major American city. Since 2002, per-person water consumption has dropped by more than 40% despite continued population growth. Indoor water is extensively recycled back into Lake Mead. Decorative grass has been removed across large areas. Strict conservation policies encourage residents to use every gallon more efficiently. These measures have made Las Vegas one of America's leading examples of urban water conservation. Yet conservation alone cannot refill the Colorado River. The river depends on snowpack from the Rocky Mountains, and climate change has made snowfall increasingly unpredictable. A wet winter can temporarily boost reservoir levels, but one strong season cannot erase decades of declining supplies. Recent snow-rich years offered welcome relief, allowing Lake Mead to recover modestly. Still, experts caution against assuming the crisis is over. Long-term demand continues to exceed the river's average supply. And deep beneath the shrinking reservoir, the third straw continues operating silently, all crocks delivering water to millions who rarely think about the remarkable tunnel keeping their city alive. It stands as both a triumph of engineering and a warning about the limits of human ingenuity. Because every foot engineers drill deeper into the earth reminds us of a difficult truth. Technology can adapt. Infrastructure can evolve, but no machine can create water that simply isn't there. The future of the American Southwest now depends not only on engineering, but also on cooperation, conservation, and difficult political decisions over how the Colorado River will be shared in the decades ahead. The question is no longer whether the region faces a water crisis. That answer is already clear. The real question is whether projects like the third straw have secured Las Vegas's future or merely bought enough time for the Southwest to confront an even greater challenge. Only time and the Colorado River itself will reveal the answer.